Well, hey there, fellow creators. Ben here from Cinder Studios. And good morning, I suppose, or afternoon, or whenever you're watching. It's about 9:30 Saturday morning, March 9th for me. And I have to start a painting, even though I haven't finished the last one yet. So for several months in a row, I have been attempting to go to this group critique session at my local gallery space. Last month, I was really excited because I'm like finally able to do this. And then I'm like, wait, do people work on stuff as we're going, or is this just a sit down critique? It's like, okay, it's just a sit down critique. So I quit packing my paint box and put everything back. And then I go down to the gallery, and there's nobody there because I was a week late. As a result of that, because the group critique and my newsletter happened to fall in the same week, I was also a week late for my newsletter because I had completely lost an entire week's worth of time mentally. So that kind of screwed up my entire February. So while the piece that I have slowly been working through, I've kind of lost interest in this, but at this point, I'm close enough to the end of it, I do need to finish it. I don't even know if I've touched this in the past 2 weeks. This is too far along at this point now for me to actually take it to that event. So I'm going to start on this one, which is the one that originally I was going to take to the group critique until I couldn't make it back in January. So this has been sitting in the corner since January, barely touched. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get started on this one for real. So I can take this with me, because I'm actually not 100% confident going into this idea. So I feel like it's going to be a decent enough piece for that. Also, apologize if I'm a little raspy. I'm still fighting some kind of a cough thing. I don't know. It could very well be COVID. Who the hell knows? But regardless, I feel fine. It's just this residual cough, and I'm doing my best to cut those out of varying video clips. Weirdly enough, it doesn't seem to be bothering me as much right now since I'm talking, so whatever. So I'm not gonna mess with this. Real quick story first, though. So yesterday after work, I had to go grocery shopping. There's a couple things I had to pick up. My parents are coming for dinner next week, so I want to get a couple bottles of wine. And because everything is in this one corridor, I'm like, I shouldn't, but hey, let's wander into Michael's and see what we can find. So I just go to the acrylic section. I'm like, do I know what I need? No. Do I know enough to restock? No, not a clue. I ended up picking up a jar of light molding paste because I'm like, I think the one I have is like half gone. So that would be good. Well, it turns out that I came home like, it was like half gone, right? No, it's a whole freaking full jar. So I just have two full jars. On the plus side, I do need some of this whenever I do the frame molding thing. I liked the effect that I got with this one. So I will probably end up using this for the frame molding project whenever I get around to doing the frame molding project. So I was standing in the store for a while, just thinking. I'm like, what could I possibly look at right now that actually is something I could use? And then it hit me, and I'm glad it did. One of the things that it's been on my mind to do is to get some glass ball bearings, mixing balls essentially, for any of the custom fluid and thinned out acrylics that I make and put into old jars and bottles. And I'm like, one of the things that I need are more of these little glass ball bearings that Golden puts in their bottles, because I don't have any. I just have the ones that, if there was one left over, like for example, I had some leftover yellow cadmium yellow medium, which I thinned out and then turned into a fluid. But this bottle didn't originally have a mixing ball in it, and as a result, I had to pull one out of a different bottle. So there is one in here now, but I was like, you know where? Like, they probably don't sell them as mixing balls, but I bet they're in the floral section. You think a big thing full of fake flowers into the foam, and in the bottom there's like little glass beads and rocks sometimes. I'm like, I bet that's where they would sell those, not under the idea of them being balls. I'm like, I bet if I can get like a little bag of them or something. Unfortunately, you can't buy them in just a little bag because they have to give you enough to fill a bowl. So, I have a giant thing of glass balls now. This is more than I will ever need for the rest of my life. And it was about $9, so, you know, trade-off. The one thing that might be a concern is that they're not just glass balls. There's a little bit of a polish on them, maybe like a silvery paint or something like that, which in theory I could probably get off if I soaked them in turpentine or something like that. But I don't think it'll be a huge problem when coming into contact with any kind of paint down the road. I don't anticipate it, like, the paint hitting it and then it flaking off because it's paint on top of paint. It's also glass. So I have, there are 1,000 of these in here. Does it even say? It's just by weight. I have no idea. 38 ounces, 1 kilogram. If and when I ended up going to the Golden Paint Factory this year, I was like, I should just ask them for a fistful of ball bearings. But it's like, hey, now I have a whole giant thing of them that I will probably put on my sculpture cabinet, because I can't imagine in any circumstance that I will need these more than once or twice a year. Okay, I'm going to drag out some paint and get started here. You know, this is already turning out to be one of these paintings that I would say falls in the realm of, like, trust the process. Because I was really unsure with what I've been wanting to do for the whole backdrop to this. The original idea was inspired by a certain location in Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I actually just recently started my second playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom, which, considering that's been out for almost a year now, I guess I can spoil this. If you haven't played it at this point, it's not going to be a huge spoiler. But the game introduces caves and networks of caves to the map. And this particular location from the first game now has a spot where there's a cave. So I thought, you know, why not use that as a as part of the backdrop. And as I was building the cave here, which in game is actually off to the right, if we're looking at this sort of the right way, but something I was like, well, that's going to come up. Is it just a sheer cliff face? I don't really like how the rocks are looking. I just started dabbing with the brush, and as I did so, I'm like, these look a lot like bricks. So why not make this a brick wall with the cave in it, which, again, in Tears of the Kingdom are things you definitely see throughout the game. So I'm kind of really pulling a lot of different elements between those two games together for this piece, which is nice. I'm a little undecided whether I'm going to make this just taper off as just a hill as it is sort of in the game, or if I actually want to turn these more into roots, which I think actually could make a much more dynamic piece, because then I could push the roots in and out of the walls and like cracks and coming out between the bricks, which I think could be a lot more interesting. I'll let that thought, I'll bounce that thought off of the group critique tomorrow. And I don't know if I mentioned this already or not, but part of the reason why I am finally hitting the group critique is that I have a sort of a second submission, and it's to help promote my upcoming compositional design for Landscapes workshop, also at that gallery in like 3 or 4 weeks now. All right, I'm going to get some slightly lighter grays and start building this color out. Okay, well, oh hell, it's 11:30 already. Bricks, yay. At this point, I could actually make them a little bit brighter, because this is basically a night scene anyway with a lot of extra glowies. I'm going to hold off on that. Definitely down the road, I will need to shadow those out a little bit more, so that'll be some overglazes. But I think at this point, this is a good place to leave this up until tomorrow's critique, because that way, anything that I can change or need to change, I can going forward. Like it's sort of in this like 90% there point, at least on the bricks. So anything that I need to adjust, I can, without being so far that I can't change anything. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff that I'm probably gonna go the route of making them tree roots, because I like to get the extra dynamic that adds. Break up the just sort of the flat wall a little bit more. Make it seem that it is more decayed because, you know, there's a cave in it. I think I'm happy with that. And what's nice already, I've noticed, in just working on this piece instead of the other one, I'm already feeling that I can come back to this with some fresh eyes to figure out exactly what else I want to do with this. I still probably won't touch it this week, but yeah, it's like it's just been sitting on the table. And it's like the only thing that's been sitting in the back of my mind. I'm like, I gotta work on this piece. I gotta get this piece finished. Haven't gotten there, but I think jumping to this one is really gonna help me come back to that one with fresh eyes that are gonna allow me to finish it up to a more reasonable, in a more reasonable way. Well, thank God that furnace finally kicked on. I'm sitting there. I've been in shorts, which it's not super warm, but I'm like, it's cold. Why isn't that kicking on? Anyhow, yeah, this is one of those weekends where it's like I have a bunch of other stuff to do, most notably taxes, before, you know, next month rolls around. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't do my taxes. But this is kind of a good weekend for it because it kind of cooled back off and it's a little bit rainy today. So probably going to lean in that direction. I feel like there was something else really important that I'm forgetting. I did not make my to-do list the way I was supposed to, or the way I normally do, rather. Normally I just kind of like get out my sketchbook and I'm jotting stuff down to do on the weekend all week. So when the weekend rolls around, I can get everything done. Or, let's be honest, I have ADHD. I'm never going to get everything done. But at least we can have a better attempt at getting things done. I'm already cutting out a lot of coughing at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and stop talking, probably get something to drink to increase my fluids. So hopefully I'm coughing less. And yeah. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Get subscribed if not already. Check me out on socials. You can always sign up for the newsletter on my website. I talk about these projects more in depth than I do in the vlogs, or at least more cohesively, I should say. As well as talk about any local events that are going on, which, of course, this one is the big announcement and link for my compositional design workshop, which I am both very excited for, but unbelievably nervous for. So yeah, hope you guys have a good week, and stay creative.